Hello. Today I want to share with you some thoughts about confronting the fear of the unknown. Fear of the unknown is one of the most powerful emotions humans experience. It can paralyze us, keep us from taking risks, trying new things, or stepping out of our comfort zones. This fear stems from uncertainty, our inability to predict or control what will happen next. However, while fear is natural, it does not have to control us. By understanding where fear comes from and finding courage within ourselves, we can overcome it and embrace the unknown with confidence. So the first thought is how fear of the unknown happens. Fear often arises when we encounter situations that are unfamiliar or unpredictable. The human brain is wired to seek safety and avoid potential threats. And when we don't know what lies ahead, our brain just assumes the worst. The amygdala, the part of the brain responsible for processing fear, reacts quickly to uncertainty, triggering anxiety and hesitation. I remember experiencing this firsthand when I moved to a new city for college. I had lived in the same town my entire life, surrounded by familiar faces and places. The thought of leaving everything behind and starting over in a new place where I knew no one filled me with dread. I kept imagining all of the things that could go wrong. What if I didn't make friends? What if I got lost? What if I failed? The uncertainty was quite overwhelming, and I seriously considered backing out. But as I gradually adjusted, I realized my fears were exaggerated. Meeting new people, exploring the city, and adapting to my new environment turned out to be exciting rather than terrifying. This experience taught me that the fear of the unknown often magnifies worst case scenarios that rarely come true. However, fear of the unknown isn't always tied to big life changes. Sometimes it comes in small random moments, like when I was alone at night and heard an unfamiliar creaking noise. My heart would start racing, my mind immediately jumped to the thoughts of intruders or something supernatural. I froze in fear, too afraid to move. But after gathering the courage to check, I realized it was just the wind moving a loose window. This experience made me realize how easily the mind will fill in the blanks when we don't know what is happening. The unknown is often scarier in our imagination than it is in reality. So, where does fear come from? Fear is deeply rooted in human evolution. Our ancestors relied on fear to survive, avoiding potential dangers like wild animals or unknown territories. While modern life no longer presents the same threats, our brains still react to uncertainty in a very similar way. Psychological factors also play a role. Past experiences, cultural influences, and personal insecurities can shape our fears. For example, when I was younger, I had a fear of public speaking. In elementary school, I once forgot my lines in a class presentation, and my classmates laughed. That single experience made me afraid of speaking in front of others for a long time. Every time I had to give a speech, I felt anxious because I associated it with the embarrassment I had felt as a child. However, over time, I realized that one bad experience did not define my ability. By practicing speeches in front of family and gradually speaking in front of small groups, I started to gain confidence. Eventually, I was able to speak in front of a large audience without fear. This taught me that fear often comes from past failures or negative experiences, but it doesn't have to define our future. There are also irrational fears, like my sudden fear of spiders. I was never particularly afraid of them until one day, while reading in my room, a very large spider crawled across my hand. I jumped up, my heart was pounding, and I avoided that corner of the room for days. Even though I know this spider was harmless, my brain associated that moment of surprise with fear. The kind of fear of small things that appear out of nowhere is common. It happens when our brains react to unexpected stimuli before we have time to rationalize what it truly is. Recognizing this helps us to regain control instead of letting our fear linger. Where does the courage come to overcome fear? Overcoming fear of the unknown does require courage, which comes from knowledge, experience, and a shift in our mindset. When we educate ourselves about what we fear, it becomes less intimidating. Taking small steps towards the unknown also helps us, and it allows us to gradually build confidence instead of being overwhelmed. One of the biggest lessons I learned about facing fear came from a hiking trip. A few friends and I decided to climb a mountain known for its steep and kind of narrow paths. I'd never hiked anything so challenging before, and halfway up, I kind of panicked. The trail was becoming steeper, and looking down, my legs started feeling weaker. I was tired. I wanted to turn back, but my friends encouraged me to keep going. So step by step, I pushed through the fear, focusing on the immediate path than the intimidating hike. When we finally reached the summit, the breathtaking view made the hike and every moment of fear worth it. That experience taught me that courage is not the absence of fear. It is taking action despite the fear. Even for smaller fears, this principle applies. When I was younger, I used to be terrified of thunderstorms, and every time the sky turned dark and the winds picked up, I would feel anxious, expecting that something bad would happen. But one day, instead of hiding under my blanket, I sat by the window and I watched. I paid attention to how the lightning flashed before the thunder rolled, and I realized that there was a pattern. Understanding the storm made it less scary for me. This experience showed me that when we face small fears head on and try to understand them, they lose their power over us. Fear of the unknown is something everyone experiences, but it doesn't have to control us. Whether it's moving to a new place, facing past traumas, or tackling new challenges, fear often exaggerates the dangers and prevents us from growing. Even small fears like sudden noises, spiders, or thunderstorms can feel very overwhelming, but they too can be conquered. By educating ourselves, taking small steps, and shifting our mindset, we can build the courage to embrace uncertainty. My experiences have shown me that fear often hides in opportunities, and if we dare to step beyond it, we discover strength we didn't even know we had. Life's greatest experiences are often on the other side of the fear. It's up to us to take those first steps. If you're afraid of the unknown and you know you need to take steps, please go to mammothedge.com and take the life assessment. I would love to talk to you about what next steps that you're going to take with courage to overcome fear. Thank you.